Your Excellency, Madam Chakwera, First Lady of the Republic of Malawi, Honorable Dats Valo, Minister of Justice, Honorable Professor Redson Kapindu, Judge of the High Court and Representative of the Chief Justice, Dr. Janet Banda, SC, Deputy Secretary of the President Cabinet, and all the government officials here present. Ms. Martha Chizuma, Director General, and all the members of staff of the Anti-Corruption Bureau here present. Your Excellency, Rune Skinbach, Ambassador of the European Union delegation to Malawi. Your Excellencies, heads of mission and international organizations here present, distinguished delegates from the SADC region, all the presenters, facilitators, panelists, and stakeholders in the fight against corruption here present, Your Majesty, Inko Simakos Simbero V, all the partners and members of the Tonse Alliance here present, Honorable Patrick Zebron Chirondola, Regional Chairman of the Malawi Congress Party for the Central Region, and all the members of the Regional Committee here present. Your Worship, Councillor Richard Banda, Mayor of the City of Lilongwe, and all councillors here present, all the members of Parliament here present, all the traditional leaders here present, Bishop Guilford Matonga, the officiating clergy, and all the religious leaders here present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this week, George Akaza moderated a panel discussion right here at the Anti-Corruption Symposium. And he asked a soul-searching and provocative question. He wanted to know if the panelists thought that the current generation of public officials is beyond redemption when it comes to corrupt practices and tendencies. I believe that as we mark the silver anniversary of the work of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, this is an important question for us to deeply reflect on as a nation. I believe that whatever our answer is to this question, that answer will shape not only the narrative we advance about the state of the war against corruption in this country, but also the strategy we employ in waging that war. As far as I can see, there are only two possible answers to this question. One is fueled by frustration and despair, and another that is fueled by frustration and hope. Those of you in this country that accept the belief that human beings can be beyond redemption in any respect will inevitably engage in certain behaviors whenever you experience frustrations in the pursuit of a corrupt free state. One of these behaviors is despair in the form of generalizations. This is where you assume that all the eggs you have picked out of a basket, since they were rotten, then it must mean all the eggs remaining in the basket are also all rotten and not fit for use. But that kind of judgment of human beings is premature at best. For the only way to know how many eggs are rotten in that basket is to check every single one of them. Now, it is no secret to anyone here that prior to my involvement in frontline politics, I worked in the church. And one story I learned from the scriptures during my work was about a prophet named Elijah. A story that vividly portrays what can happen to us when we allow our frustrations with corruption to turn into despair. At that time, Elijah found himself living in a country that was very corrupt. Ahab the king practiced corruption openly. His wife Jezebel was also so corrupt that their name, is synonymous with state corruption to this very day. They run a government so corrupt that they even went as far as corrupting the prophets in the land so that they would no longer speak truth to power. And Elijah accepted the mission and assignment from God to be an anti-corruption champion in the midst of that. The mission of being God's plumber in the middle of what seemed like a bottomless sewer. It was a thankless and frustrating job. And as many of you anti-corruption champions who have gathered here from across this Hosadic region and beyond would know from experience, it was also a dangerous job. In fact, one time, after Elijah had succeeded in purging a whole cartel of corrupt prophets, Jezebel, the first lady, sent Elijah a text message saying, I hear you have gotten rid of my prophets, so now I'm going to kill you. In fact, I pray that the gods should punish me severely if I don't kill you by this time tomorrow. That was the end of the text message. And the Bible says that when Elijah got that message, it scared him. And he ran away from the city to the town of Beersheba. But even there, he didn't feel safe, so he decided to go into the desert. But even in the desert, he didn't feel safe. So he sat under a tree and asked God to just let him die, forgetting that he's actually running away from death. Allowing our frustrations to turn into despair can make us do strange things. It can make us paranoid. It can make us wallow in self-pity and self-righteousness. It can make us feel lonely and abandoned. It can make us feel powerless and useless. Elijah felt all these things when his frustrations about corruption turned into despair. I myself know these feelings all too well. From the helm of the government where I sit, it would be easy to believe that everyone in the public service is corrupt and to believe that everyone who is corrupt is beyond redemption. It would be easy for me to go all over the world and turn my own despair into a message that tells other nations how corrupt my country is and how corrupt our citizens are, and tell them that I am all alone in the fight against corruption. But in the face of such despair, what we need is for God to do for us what he did for Elijah. Namely, to grant us a true perspective for a corrupt-free society. An angel told Elijah to go to Mount Sinai, the mountain of God, and when he got there, God asked him a question that we must each wrestle with here today. The question was, why are you here? When Elijah heard that question, he responded by telling God that the whole nation was full of people who could not be trusted, people who were no longer keeping their promises, and that the only one left to fight against corruption was him. In other words, when faced with the question, why are you here? Elijah's answer was that he was there to fight the good fight on his own. When God asked him the question a second time, Elijah gave the same answer. So God told him to stand on the mountain because he wanted to change and correct his perspective. While standing on the mountain, God told him to go back and gave him names of individuals to enlist in the fight against corruption, because God told him that contrary to his opinion, that everyone was so corrupt and that those who were corrupt were so beyond redemption, he said there were at least 7,000 Israelites that were men and women of integrity, wisdom, and courage. And so, on this Silver Jubilee anniversary marking 25 years of the work of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, we celebrate the progress we have made, but we also recognize that the reason this room is full, and the reason many Malawians are following this event is because there is a generation of Miss Julus and others, thousands we can find in every institution who are not corrupt and who are ready to take on the forces of corruption. All they're waiting for is for us to enlist them and tell them how they can help in the creation of a new Malawi that is free from corruption. And because the army exists of that kind, we must choose to turn our frustrations into hope. The kind of hope that believes that every victory against corruption is within reach and inevitable. So let us keep up the good fight. And let us keep growing our ranks by enlisting new fighters. For those who are with us are more than those who are against us. God bless you, and God bless Malawi. But allow me just for a few moments to speak in the vernacular. Chifukwa utengawo kupanda kufotokoza bwino onaphiri kumudzi somva bwino. Utengawo upanda kusimba mjira ina yake ngakhale magogo ali pano akhoza kukhumudwa. ngati kuti ngosafunika pa nkhondoyi. Okondedwa, zikathina zinthu zikavuta, makamaka kulimbana ni katangale ni ziphuphu kukafika pa chiyindeinde, pamakhala maganizo osiyanasiyana, ndipo angakhale amene akulimbikira ntchitowo amaoneka ngati vuto ndi iwowo. Iwe amene ufuna ukhale ni gawo lako pa zimene zikuchitikazo, kwankhala ngati nthawi zina ndiwe wekha, palibenso wina akukuthandiza. Koma choonadi chake nchakuti nthawi zina chifukwa chokuti zatithina, timakhala ni maganizo akuti sititha kupambana nkhondo imeneyi. Lero mmene tikukondwera kuti patha zaka 25 amati silver jubilee, tiona bwanji kutsogoloku pa nkhondo ngati imeneyi nkwapafupi kuti iwo amene ali kutsogolera nkhondo imeneyi amve ngati sizikuyenda. Iwo amene afuna achitepo kanthu kuona ngati akungothamangira mtundu wopanda madzi. Inu mudziwa kuti ineyo ndine mlaliki, koma nakumbuka pa nthawi ngati ino chifukwa cha funso limene anafunsa Job chakazadzana kuti kodi tingotayiratu mtima kodi zinthu zizitheka kapena sizitheka, kapena mbadwo wonsewu titaye nawo chiyembekezo kuti zinthuzi tuzilimbikira pakaone. Ndiye nakumbukira mawu ndi mbiri ya mneneri wotchedwa Eliya mu nthawi ya Ahabu ndi mkazi wake Jezebel. Ndiye kuti uku kuli mfumu ndi timati first lady. Nthawi imeneyo mpaka panopa wena akamati Jezebel amangotchula kuti mayi woyipa. Koma anthu amachita zinthu zakatangale mosaopanso wina aliyenseyo. Ngakhale wena amene anali aneneri, maprofeti, amachita kugulidwa kuti asanene zonena mfumu, athana nawo. Koma tsiku lina mkazi wa mfumu adangomlembera, lero kuti kuli maujeni mafoni awa wam'manja yawo, adangomlembera uthenga kuti mawa ukakhala ndi moyo unifunse. Nangolemba chichewa changa tsono. Eliya munthu wolimba mtima, koma adaona kuti mantha wamgwira kuthawa. Wakhala pena pake kuona kuti aya pano sipali bwino, andipeza. Thayira ku chipululu, aya panonso sipali bwino, andipeza. Kena kadangofika pena upeza kamthuzi mpaka na kumulankhula chauta uyo adamtuma kuti ayi koma ayi zafika apa bwanji ningofa. Uyiwala kuti aluthawa imfa kumene, ngasiwena ananena kuti ukufa. Nimene zimachitira nthawi zino ukazingwa usowakolowa. Ino amene simukumvane musadandaule, alipo abali kumva kumudzi. Koiya alipo akumva kwa Kameme, alipo akumva kumsanje Didi, alipo akumva kunamwera. cholinga nchonena kuti usachitufika paja pakuti ndine ndekha chifukwa Mulungu adati tabwera kuno takwera yapa kukwera kuphiri utani kuno haya mavuto kumodzi mudziwa inu kuti sizili bwino ukuti utani kuno iye anakhala nekha nthuni zavuta moti palibenso wina aliyense amene ali wokhulupirika pamaso pano nangokhala nekha Mulungu mamuona akusekerera umwetulira kuti nthawi zina anthu timalankhula mobzoza ngati kuti zonse tudziwa ndife chifukwa choti tikathenidwa ndi mmene zimakhalira ngakhale chinthu choyipa chikangokhala chimodzi zonse nzoyipa chifukwa ndi mmene timakhalira ngati anthu ndiye Mulungu amafuna ati tenge pena nkutionetsa kuti msatero aya panopa pita ukapeze uje ndi uje akuthandiza komanso izi zomanena kuti uli wekha sizedi ndinawo anthu ankhaninkhani 7,000 oposa amene sanapembedze mafano aya ndi anthu okhulupirika osanena kuti uli wekha okondedwa tiye tiwapeze anthu amenewa chifukwa ngakhale mabungwe osiyanasiyana maunduna osiyanasiyana madepartment osiyanasiyana midzi yosiyanasiyana zigawo zonse za dziko lino kukhoza kukhala ngati kwawola muwapeza wena sakuchita nawo zakatangale wapezeni amenewa wapezeni amayiwo wapezeni wana ngati mbadi watsopanowo nkuphunzitsa nkunena kuti tiye tikhale limodzi mudzadziwa kuti amene akutsutsana nafe ndi ochepa kusiyana na amene ali ndi ife nkhondo itipambana tiye na aliyense akhale mchiyembekezo m'malo motaya mtima Ambuye akudalitseni.